There we go. Okay. Good morning. Let me just give me like 2 seconds. I just need to double check that I could see comments and stuff on my other app. But that will also give you a few minutes if you don't have your ingredients prepped yet to prep your ingredients to bake along with me. Oh wait, okay, I think I got it on my other app. And just fix the volume. And good morning. I hope you are having a wonderful Sunday. I got to sleep in, which was amazing. I love that. And I almost canceled today, even though I said I would do this because I was like, I kind of want to sleep in. But then I was like, no, I said I was gonna do this, so let me just do this. Okay, so in case you didn't know, we are going to be making my Earl Grey Sugar Cookie recipes. I have my dry ingredients prepped right here with my favorite mixing bowl that I got recently, and it has a lid. So it's gonna be dust free. Oh, I smell the Earl Grey. Okay, and oh, and if you didn't already, because I don't know if you read the recipe for the steps yet, preheat your oven to 375 degrees if you have a convection with a fan, and then 400 if you have just a regular oven and it doesn't have a fan. So that way when we mix the ingredients, your oven will be preheated and ready to bake later on. Good morning, morning, morning. Okay, and assuming that you have your dry ingredients here, just give it a stir to make sure you get all like the ingredients mixed together. And I really like this recipe. Honestly, it's one of my favorites because, I don't know, I just really like tea and I really love Earl Grey. And when I used to do custom sales and like cookie box sales during Christmas, this is just like a really popular cookie because like who doesn't like tea and Earl Grey and just cookies that aren't like too sweet. And I also really love the recipe for it. I did have to edit it a little bit so that way it was a little bit more like home baker friendly. But all you have to do is just mix all your dried ingredients like in your bowl and then just dump all the ingredients together. It's kind of like a cake box mixes, except it's homemade. So I'm just gonna stir my ingredients together, my dry ingredients, just to make sure that all of the like leavening agents and stuff, the sugar, are all distributed. Super easy, really quick. When I had like my friends come as recipe testers to do my like monthly bake along workshops, they actually were surprised at how easy it was. And I honestly think that like some recipes don't need to be that complicated. And this is a really good beginner recipe if you're new to baking in general, and even if you're not new to baking, if you just have like a busy day but you really want cookies, you could definitely do this in like an hour. Probably less, but I feel like an hour if you like move kind of slowly or you just don't feel like moving fast. Okay, so now my ingredients are nice and mixed together. And now I'm gonna put in my wet ingredients, which will be my butter. Oh, actually, I had this question before from a reader that was doing the recipe, but here is my Earl Grey tea leaves actually before I go into the mixing part. I don't know if you could see it clearly enough, but I actually ground my Earl Grey tea leaves, like, cause they don't always come grounded or in powder form. So I buy like a bunch of the loose leaf tea leaves and then I put it in like a coffee grinder. I think I actually used my mini blender for this and just blended it all up so it's like nice and grounded. It doesn't need to be like powdery, just much more fine than loose leaf teas. So that way you can taste the Earl Grey more in your cookie dough. You can kind of see that it's not like powder, it's like just really finely grounded. Kind of like, you know, when you freshly crack like black peppers. I also like being able to see the tea leaves like in the cookie dough. Something about it just like looks nice. Oh, oops. Okay, so I showed you that. And now we're gonna mix the cookie dough together. So I have my very soft butter. It did melt a little in the microwave, but you don't want it to be hot. Like this is already cooled down. Because if it's too warm, it's gonna be really hard to like scoop the cookie dough. It might be too wet. So it should be like super softened, like room temperature butter, or use the microwave and melt it a little bit. If it's like half melted, it's okay. Just make sure it's not hot or like fully super liquidy hot melted butter. And then just mix it right into your dry ingredients. Scoop all the butter. Put that on the side. And then I'm gonna put in my vanilla. I'm just gonna eyeball this because I really like vanilla anyway, so, and it won't really affect the texture of your recipe, assuming you don't dump the whole thing in. You only need like, you know, a tablespoon or a little bit less if you don't really like vanilla, but who doesn't like vanilla? And then take your egg, crack it right in. Make sure you compost this. And now I have my wet and dry ingredients together. And then just mix it up. And then just make sure that if you're using like a rubber spatula, just make sure you also scoop the sides of your bowl to get all the flour that could kind of be like hiding under the dough. Because when I was doing the recipe testing with some of my friends, I saw that, like, you know, if you're not used to mixing, you wouldn't know this, but to make sure you get all the flour in, you do have to scrape the sides of your bowl. And then mix, mix, mix. Mix, mix, mix. And then you see there's still a little bit of flour on the sides, so you just take your spatula and just run it along the sides of your bowl. And then sometimes you also have to get under your cookie dough to get the flour like hiding under there. Do you see, like, I had some flour just like underneath my cookie dough? So just scrape the sides and at the bottom of your bowl to get any flour that might be hiding under there. And then I'm going to keep mixing. And then if you see that your cookie dough might be stuck on your spatula, just scrape it along your bowl. Just to get, like, I don't know, you might have butter or something or eggs stuck on the side. Good morning, Pauline. Good morning, Michelle. Hello, Smissy. We are making Earl Grey cookie dough. Oh, my hair is like tickling my nose. Okay, and try not to over mix it. I know that's a really vague like way of saying that, but like if you'll know if you over mix it like more after you bake it, it'll kind of end up being like weirdly shaped. So stop when most of your dough comes together, and it should look like, let me show you in like 3 seconds after I mix it just a little bit more, because I can see the egg yolks and the butter a little bit. So if you can see streaks of your wet ingredients like the butter or the egg, just mix it a little bit more because you probably missed a few spots. And then if you see dry spots again under your dough on the side, just give it a little mix again. And when it looks like most of it is all together, that's when you should pretty much stop. So it should look like this. Like you don't really see any butter streaks, no egg streaks. There's nothing like, there's no flour streaks. Mostly everything is all mixed together. The texture kind of looks like this. If it's a little bit wet, that's okay, because what you can do is that you can pop them into the freezer or the fridge for a few minutes, and it'll help the butter solidify, because that probably means that your butter was a little bit too melted. But you know, that's okay, it's easy to fix. Okay. Now that my dough is ready, you and I are going to take our cookie scoops. So I usually use this yellow one. Hi, Jess. Good morning. So I usually use this yellow cookie scoop. It is about 1.5 ounces, but you can use whatever cookie scoop you want. I've done this as a mini cookie dough, and I've done this, well, actually not me, but one of my friend recipe testers did do like a huge cookie. So if you want to just bake this whole thing as like one big cookie, technically you can. We did experiment this for you already. So it could be like a cookie cake, I guess. But this is my favorite one because I feel like it gives you like the perfect cookie size. So 1.5 ounces. I do think I have the link to this specific one in my blog post. So if you want to get this one, you can find it as an Amazon link on my recipe blog. Okay, so we're going to use this, and if you need a minute, you can grab your cookie tray, line it with parchment paper, and then we're going to use the cookie scoop and then scoop the cookie dough directly onto the tray. I'm not going to bake all of mine because I actually want to freeze it, but I'll also show you how I freeze it while these are baking. So take your cookie scoop. I also noticed that when I was showing my friends how to do this part, the scooping part, I didn't realize that it was trickier than I expected for people who don't actually scoop cookie dough that much. So I'm going to show you as well. So what you're going to do is take your cookie scoop and kind of like how you're getting ice cream with the ice cream scoop, just go right inside and then make sure you fully fill this cookie scoop, ice cream scoop with the cookie dough. You might have to go over it a few times and then scrape along the sides of your bowl like this. And this is just gonna help make sure that all your cookie doughs are even. Like you don't want to have any weird gaps. Like let me show you what it shouldn't look like, since this is what it should look like. Like I've seen some people go like this and do it once and then you see gaps on the side. That's gonna make your cookie dough bake unevenly because each one is gonna have like a different amount of cookie dough. So to make sure you get the right amount, just do a couple of scrapes along the sides of your bowl like this. And then when it gets too full, just scrape it along the edge of your bowl to make it more even. So you get a clean cookie scoop like this. I mean, the edges aren't actually that clean, but you get what I mean? Like it's more full. And if you see gaps, you can kind of go in again. If there's a little bit of a gap, it's fine. The idea is that you just want to make sure there's no like weird air gaps where you can't see at the top inside, because you can't see inside. So this basically is what it should look like. Like you see that it's a nice and full cookie dough scoop. And then when you get that, just put it right onto your cookie dough, your cookie sheet, like this. And see, it came out right nice and little circle. And if you don't have a cookie scoop and you don't want to get one, no judgment. I know like sometimes baking can have too many tools. You can also use a spoon. I know someone told me that they do not have a cookie scoop or ice cream scoop, and that's fine. You can use spoons too. You could use one if you want. Two is a little bit easier for me. I prefer, like my favorite method is still the ice cream scoop just because it creates like a more perfect circle. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it with a spoon or with other tools. So I would just scoop it like this. It's just a little bit harder to measure how much you get because like right now I don't even know like, you know, how much is this? You can use your tablespoons to measure it. Like this size is about like 2 tablespoons, I would say, 3 tablespoons. So you could use that. I'm just using regular spoons to show people who like don't already have like measuring spoons or like ice cream scoops. So you could do this. Just use 2 spoons and scrape it like back and forth. and it'll kind of come out a little bit more circular. And then you could also put in your hands if you have like a little bit of butter, or actually you don't really need butter or anything. It might just get a little sticky, but just wash your hands afterwards. But you can also take that and put it into your hands and roll it into a little ball and then just plop it on here. And honestly, that's a circle too. And that is another way that you can make more circular cookies if you don't have an ice cream scoop. Okay, and I'm actually going to put that in because this is not going to be the same size as my other one, but I just wanted to show you that you can do that without an ice cream scoop. Okay, and then because I'm also not baking all these, I am going to freeze some of them. So, and I'll definitely show you that after I put these in the oven. Just make sure also, again, if you forgot, to preheat your oven before you bake the cookies. Okay, and let me just, again, I'm gonna scoop, scrape, scoop, and scrape until I get a full cookie dough scoop. And then make sure they're about, I would say, 2-3 inches apart, 3 inches or more, just to be safe, because they do kind of spread a little bit, especially if you're baking them fresh like me right now and you aren't saving them for later. If you freeze these cookie doughs, they don't spread as much when you bake them straight from the freezer because, well, they're frozen. But I would say, just to be safe, until you get used to how much they spread, like I know for a fact, because I baked this so many times already, that this is enough space if I do this or like this. But like I know if you're a beginner and stuff, it might be a little bit tricky to tell right off the bat, especially because every recipe is a little bit different. But I would give them more space rather than less, like just in case. So for this sheet tray, this is about, I think, a quarter sheet tray. So I usually only put like 5 cookie doughs at once just to give them space to bake. So they'll kind of look like this. So you see that they have like plenty of space in between each other. Right? Yes, yes, all in her glory. Ooh. Okay, just like this. Right, and if you have any questions, also feel free to put it in the chat. I'll most likely see it because I have a little app set up here. But that should be it. And then now we can pop these into the oven. Okay. And I'm setting my timer for 10 minutes. Just to start, I like to start with 10 minutes first and then kind of check on them, because sometimes the cookies bake differently if I have like something in the oven already, so it might take a little bit longer, it might take a little less. Okay, let's start with 8 minutes for now, because my kitchen is also kind of warm, because the weather is warmer, yay! So just think, let's check it at 8 minutes for me. Sometimes you also have to consider these things depending on the weather and how warm your kitchens are. I know sometimes it could be a little bit annoying, but that's okay. That's the fun part about baking. So I set my timer for 8 minutes. I'm going to check on them. And then for now, I will show you how I'm going to freeze the rest of my cookie dough, in case you wanted to do that too. If you don't, that's fine. You can just bake all of your cookie dough today. So I have this tray that I usually use for freezing cookie dough, because I usually always have frozen cookie dough in my freezer, just because, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like I want a cookie and I can just take it from the freezer and then just bake it and eat it. Sometimes I have friends that like randomly show up and I'll be like, hey, you want a cookie? And then I can take it from the freezer, bake it, and then give it to them. Okay. So let me just grab my rubber spatula again, and my dough is like all over the place because I was trying to show you how to do it without a cookie scoop, but If it looks like this, that's fine. Just take your cookie, I mean, not your cookie dough, your rubber spatula and scrape along the edge of it to clean it up so it makes it easier to scoop again. Okay. And then make sure you also get any residual cookie dough off your rubber spatula, because that is cookies too. Okay, so now it's much easier to scrape the rest of my cookie dough. Okay, again, we're gonna scoop, scoop, and scrape, scoop and scrape, scoop and scrape, and get any extra dough off the sides. Okay, and this one, you don't have to spread it apart as much because I am freezing them, right? So all I have to do is just put it here, cookie dough. And then I'm going to scoop and scrape again, scoop and scrape again. And I'm gonna put it right next to each other. Not on top of the other cookie dough. I am putting it right next to each other so it's easier to remove when they're fully frozen. So scoop and scrape, scoop and scrape. Okay, and then I'm at the last end of the bowl, so in order to help me get all of the rest of the cookie dough, because we are not wasting that, take my rubber spatula again and scrape the sides. Yeah, there we go. Let's check out my timer. I got 4.5-ish minutes. But yeah, rest of my cookie dough, just scoop it back into the cookie dough scoop. So this recipe, actually, I need to edit it. I don't know why I put 7. Oh, you know what? I know why. I put 7 on the recipe because the app I was using wouldn't let me adjust it to give you like a range, because technically it makes like 8. It's like somewhere between 7 to like 8.5. But I couldn't add that range, which was really weird. So I put 7 because I didn't want you to expect there to be like a certain amount, but you weren't getting that amount if you're new to baking. But I'm gonna edit it because it really should be giving you 8 1.5 ounce cookie doughs. And then you'll have like a little bit left over, so technically it's like 8.5. I'm gonna put 8 though, just to be safe. But of course, like depending on what size cookie dough scoop you use, you will get like a different amount. So just be aware of that when you make the recipe. And if you're visiting here on my page, welcome. We are baking Earl Grey Sugar Cookies, and you can find the recipe on my blog at sparklecakery.com. Okay, and then this is just gonna be like just a baby scoop here. That's the half a cookie dough. Okay, get all that cookie dough, put it on this baby one. Actually, this little one is where I would like roll it, so that way it's more circular. You can also do it after it's more chilled, so that way it's not as weirdly sticky. Okay. And then that's pretty much it. So here are my cookie doughs I'm gonna freeze. I actually thought about doing a double batch today so that way I had more to freeze, but just for the sake of showing you guys how to make this, I just made like a single batch, but that's okay. I can always make more next time. And so when I'm freezing them, it's easier if I just put them right next to each other, so I maximize the space on my tray. It's okay if they touch, that's totally fine, because when they're frozen or fully chilled, it's easier to like separate them because they'll kind of like harden a bit more. And just don't put them on top of each other though, not unless you cover it like this or with parchment paper, and they're chilled at the bottom, and then you can start like kind of layering them if you needed more space. So for the time being, I'm gonna put this here. I'm actually gonna put this in the fridge first to chill because I need to make freezer space because I just like went grocery shopping. So I'm gonna set that on the side for now, and then I will put them in the fridge. Actually, no, let me put them in the fridge now. I'm gonna put them in the freezer later. Hello, person on Earth. Hi, Kyle. They do. Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Sorry, I was like, is that all the same person? Yes. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm glad. Well, today we're baking cookies, so hopefully this helps too. Yeah, all the dishes. There actually isn't even that many dishes either. When you make this recipe, it's like literally these tools. If you even use a cookie scoop, and then that's it. Put them in my sink to wash later afterwards. And then I have, oh, perfect timing, the cookies. I can check on the cookies. Where's my oven mitt? Okay, going to check on them. Oh, so cute. Oh yeah, actually, it's a good thing I put 8 minutes because I think they are actually done. Oh, it's really hard to show you without like spilling things over on the side. Let me get another glove to help with that. Okay, so 8 minutes is perfect when you're baking it straight from the oven. I might have gotten it mixed up from what I'm doing like from the freezer. Just follow whatever I wrote on the recipe blog. Okay, so these are the Earl Grey Sugar Cookies. They are so cute. And I love to do this, in case you didn't know, where I will take, so these are my chocolate daisies, and I love putting on these when they just come out of the oven. Sometimes I'll wait like 5-ish minutes or so, but then I realized that I can actually do it right away after they come out of the oven, where I put my chocolate daisies. I prep these beforehand. I can put these right on top so they melt into the cookie, and it like when it cools, the chocolate like stays on the cookie because it like melted and like fused with the cookies. So I don't know if you could see it. These are my chocolate little daisies. And I'm just gonna put the, oh, I broke that one. Oops. They're really delicate, so I have to be careful. But what I just really wanted to show you. Okay, so I'm gonna put them right on top. And then that way they will look extra cute. Because sometimes I feel like some cookies just feel kind of naked, you know? Like these just feel like they need a little something. And that's why one day I was like, wait, let me put some chocolate daisies on top because I had extras from something else I was making. And then ever since then, I just started doing that because it was just such a cute little touch on them. Ah, they're so cute. Okay, hold on, I have to show you. I do this like all the time, but something about them, it just like changes the way the cookies look. It's too hot to show you, hold on. I need to get a spatula so I can pick it up. Like I do this like all the time with cookies, but I don't know, something about like every time I do them, they're just so cute after like putting the daisies on top that it just changes like the whole look. I don't know if you can even see it on the camera. Like it has a little daisy on top. But yeah, honestly, it's the live started at 11. It is now 11:29. We did this in 30 minutes, guys. So if you didn't think so before, baking is fun and approachable, and you could do it in 30 minutes depending on the recipes. But this is also just a really good starting recipe for new bakers to build your confidence. And I hope you had fun. I thought this was gonna take like an hour and a half because I thought I would have to show more steps because this is my first time doing the Earl Grey Sugar Cookies live. But I'm really glad that we were able to do this in like 30 minutes, under an hour. And I hope that this was informative. Let me know in like the comments, or I don't know, somewhere else, social media, somewhere, Instagram, TikTok, if you want to see like other recipes, if you want to see the same recipes, if you want to see this one again, or you want to do something else, let me know. And I will do what I can. I think I'm going to do this every week and on Sundays, just to practice talking and working at the same time. I can already tell that I'm like, my brain is lagging when I do this, because it's really hard to talk and do something. Well, like teach something and do it at the same time. It's like different if it was like always like something I was constantly doing for work. But I'm going to practice, because this year I am investing in myself, and I am going to get better at whatever I'm deciding to do. And whatever I said I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do it and follow through, and I don't chicken out. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's live. Hope you enjoyed making Earl Grey Sugar Cookies with me, and I will see you next time. Bye! And if you want, you can bake off the rest of your cookies or freeze them like I showed you before. And then you can just bake it straight from the freezer, by the way. Before I forget, it's also on my day-by-day steps in the recipe blog. Just in case you didn't know. Okay, bye! Now if I forget, how do I end this? Oh, I see. Okay, bye!